I live.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's pretty poor.
It is poor, and I went to schools, I've seen the way that coaches or PEs are trying to teach to kids a certain sports. There is this feeling of just do your best. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
What should it be?
It should be, if you do something, you have to do it correctly till the end. There's not do your best, and it's okay.
Well, doing your best is surely all anybody can be expected to do. But if there's a better way of doing it, we should be shown what that is.
Exactly. And you're talking about facilities and everything. England has better facilities than most of European countries.
I think there's that without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, I think that they should deserve, before all these high-level athletes, they should deserve to have better facilities when they use the ones that they have already.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think those facilities are based in certain areas, and those areas are probably some of the best heeled or better heeled areas in the country. Do we have excellent sports facilities, and I mean sports generally, right across the board, in any of the areas where there are kids desperate for an outlet in a sporting arena, where they would love a chance to go along? And if we do, whatever is the point of having to pay to use them? I thank you very much for your call, Maddie, and to all those who've called and continue to call. I'm afraid we've run out of time, which is a shame. I hope we've made some progress on what we've said, and that someone will take some notice of some of the very smart remarks that have been made, because you have made some good and clever remarks, and I hope somebody takes a bit of notice of it. Coming up right after the news at 1, it's Mike Allen. He'll be taking you through the night, and so will I. No, I won't. I'll be back at 10. Will I? Yes, I will.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Next week.
As far as I know, I'll be back
Friday.
at 10 next Friday, yeah. Have a good week until then. Good night.
Good morning, I'm Mike Allen. This is talkSPORT, 1089, 10:53 a.m. Bizarre situation in America. They're running out of cash on their military operations, and so do the people in the UK. America's got a solution to the problem. They're thinking of opening a military theme park. 08704 20 20 20. I'm Mike Allen. Give me a call. Is this madness, or have I just read this the wrong way round?
On 1089 and 10:53 a.m.
The country should know of it.
Around the world. Around the clock.
One small step for man.
From the Sky News Centre. talkSPORT on the Hour News.
The top stories from the Sky News Centre at 1.
On 1089 and 10:53 a.m. talkSPORT.
Good morning, I'm Mike Allen. Many thanks to Mike Dickin. Is everyone here called Mike? Mike Mendoza's normally sitting here. There's another one. Quick loader gun. I think we could get a couple. Mike's having the morning off, so they said to me, could you come in for a packet of cream cheese and some crispy crackers and have a really good time and enjoy yourself? And I said, yes, you've talked me into it. This morning I'll be talking about the near panic we have to endure when we talk about the nation's health. Have you noticed people are making millions out of us on a very regular basis? But is it justified? When it comes to your health, we obviously want the best for our children, the best for our families, the best for us, of course. But there's a little bit more to it, and I'll be revealing a little bit more about it. That's to come. We'll also be talking with the co-author of the book Trash, A History of the New York Dolls, and the wind-up issue of surrendering part of our car's handling to a new planned remote control unit that acts as a smart override unit. How smart might that be? Road safety campaigner Paul Smith will be joining us on that issue a little later on. If you'd like to be part of the programme, the regular numbers apply. Of course, it's 08704 20 20 20. 08704 20 20 20. Primarily, though, the answer to the financial problems the American and British armed forces are facing is open to be answered by some very creative marketing. Both Britain and America need more money. And proactive to the end, the Americans have decided to convert a former military base into a military theme park. They'll be employing help from a major theme park manufacturer, so this isn't something that they're going to knock out, with an earth mover and a few blokes with some shovels that haven't got anything to do. This is terribly serious stuff. The Americans need to find more money to fund their military operations, as do the British. I was reading in the press today the British are so short of money when it comes to repairing some damaged stretches of wire on a containment fence round an army camp, they haven't got a budget. They've run out of cash. So, theme park. Americana and Britain, and at one stroke they'll open a showplace for out-of-date weapons. You can get to fly, well, as near as you can possibly get to fly, an F-16 and experience combat situations. You can experience all sorts of rides. What about parachute descents and survival under fire situations whilst getting paid? The public also provide interest in the form of people who decide they want to sign up and join the military. So will we do the same? We have much more history than America, and the question waits to be answered. Should we open our own military theme park? Simple question. Should we open our own military theme park in an attempt to fund our military operations? 08704 20 20 20. I'm Mike Allen. That's one of the things we could be talking about. National Singles Week starts today. You might have felt the earth move about 12 o'clock. That's what it was. How difficult can it be to find a partner? Well, very could be the reaction as we get past 30. Are we becoming too picky? Well, if you stop and think about it, the answer to that is probably yes, too, because various shows on radio, television, and featured articles in magazines and newspapers point the finger at you don't even think about getting married unless your partner can be this, can be that, they've got to be financially astute, they've got to be great in bed, they've got to be doing all this and that. Or are we just getting wise after the event and saying, well, actually, I don't know if I want children, so if I don't want children, is it worth getting married? Dating. Is it an endangered species? It's National Singles Week this week. 08704 20 20 20. You can text me if you want. Yeah. It's 81089. 81089. And the website, of course, is in full operation. It's been dusted down in honour of my arrival today, as I was underwhelmed, of course. talkSPORT.net. But you'll be calling me. That'll be the easy thing to do. 08704 20 20 20. We've been talking around the office today about the upcoming ceasefire, and will it hold, won't it hold, is it just another... Well, let's give it the benefit of the doubt, shall we? Let's be positive. If only with the dream that it could improve the situation. Everyone's got something to say about this. No one person is absolutely right, and no one person's absolutely wrong. If that's a broad generalisation, well, surely it is, because there are so many facets to this situation. But the number I want to talk to you on is 08704 20 20 20. Let's have a chat with Salim, who's in Manchester. Hang on a minute. Hang on, Salim. There we are. I've got you. Hello, Salim.
Oh, hi, yeah, good morning.
Good morning. We were talking about the Americans and the British, possibly following suit, but the Yanks had the idea to build a military theme park in a boost the coffers plan because they're running out of cash due to their engagement with a military base around the world. What's your reaction to that, first off?
Well, as far as, my own thinking goes on this and these wars, basically both in the Middle East and in Afghanistan and other countries, where sort of the main sort of theatre of operations is whenever an economy goes stagnant or in decline, the war is obviously there to boost it. Same with the Israel sort of situation for the last 50-odd years. They've been at war with the rest of the Middle East and the other Muslim countries. And obviously, because, the war mores they create...
You're citing that as an example more as a coincidence rather than a deliberately planned event, are you?
Well, I mean, different people and different academics and different scholars have different thoughts on it, and I do read up on internationals quite a lot, on international relations and, this whole thing about the war on terror. I mean, before 30, 40 years ago or even 50 years ago, it was the Cold War, and then obviously, now we've got, the new war on terror. But to be honest, the war on terror has basically been there since the end of the Second World War, and even sort of before that, if you look over the last 100 years, terror has always been there. It's just it's come in different aspects and different things. And, whether people, feel this is wrong or right, foreign policy has a big, influence and a big factor to play in any country. And it was the same in Northern Ireland. The foreign policy there, instigated things. And I think, peace can come about, but I think it has to be a compromise of, all nations.
Yes, an interesting word, that compromise, because it's not been used much in the last few years. It ceases to have any appeal for many people. But at the end of all the conflicts, somebody makes a compromise.
Yeah.
And then we start to say, oh yes, suddenly the instrument of peace happens to be a table, because we all end up sitting around it and discussing it. There was news this weekend about the 90-day detention plan could be back on the agenda.
Yeah.
With recent events in mind, could you see that 90-day detention issue return? Do you think that would have validity?
I think so, and I think, I was reading something in the paper a few days ago about the diplomat courts being abolished in Northern Ireland, and the other community, the unionist community, was saying, well, it's a bit premature, to sort of dismiss them. It's without jury, of course, for those people who don't know what they are. But 90 days, if you put away somebody for 90 days, in terms of questioning, like the events of what happened on Thursday and things like that, it sort of affects all sort of human rights issues and things like that, and people say, well, 90 days is too much and things like that. So you've got to have, the balance and the compromise. But, if your country's at threat, whichever country you live in, regardless of whether it's the UK, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, wherever, you've got to address the threat immediately, because if that threat isn't addressed, then it's not just a particular citizen that's going to get attacked or killed. It's going to be all the citizens of those countries.
I wanted also to talk about this aspect of this whole issue tonight. The 10% drop in income across the globe if certain conflicts aren't resolved.
Yeah.
Everybody becomes a loser. Right. Those who are thousands of miles away from the action, both in terms of investment, involvement and interest, they also suffer. And we're getting to the stage now where just to talk about bombing, without necessarily producing a bomb, just to talk about it sends the market into some sort of tremulous state.
Yeah.
So we should really think about this and think about the impending issues that are sitting before us when we talk about the issue in broad terms.
Definitely, because, again, really, sorry, your name's Mike, isn't it?
Yes, you can call me Mike if you like.
Well, it's got Mike Dickin on the screen anyway. To be honest with you there, Mike, again, going back to this, conflict situation of the wars and things like that, there's been talk about, attacking the sponsors of Hezbollah and things like that and stuff like that. And automatically after what happened on Thursday, the markets went jittery. So, if one can imagine that if something like that did happen, or some of the Middle Eastern countries, like Venezuela's having a tough time at the moment with the Americans because they're looking to pull the oil off the market if the Americans are being, nasty to them. If the same thing happened with some of the Middle East countries, I was only a child, in the 70s when we had blackouts and stuff. And I can just imagine now, if the same thing happened, people, it was just catastrophic, and it's just getting more and more dangerous all the time.
Do you know, as naive as it sounds, I really do believe that we've been led to the garden path. Did you hear about that movie, Who got rid of the electric car or something? There was a production dedicated to the idea of the concept of the electric car that was buried. It doesn't in anyone's interest that it should exist.
Yeah.
So we find ourselves in a situation now where we've talked ourselves, we've spent our way, and we've retro-engineered our position in depending on a fossil fuel.
Yeah.
It's actually everybody's fault, but nobody wants to put their hand up. It's everybody's fault because we've just gone along with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's about the fossil fuel. I think what it's about is...
Well, you were talking about Venezuela, and you were talking about their decision not to make their output available to America unless they get their own way.
Yeah, but that's because they feel that they're getting bullied by America, who says that it's a free, the country of the free world and promoting democracy. But underneath what it is it's the democracy that, they want to put on people. Like, people here are saying that, Mr. Blair should be following the European line and not the American line. And again, it's a very fine thing to tread, because, America's been a long-time ally of the UK, and in the Second World War they helped them out and everything and stuff like that. So loyalties obviously go first to America before Europe, and obviously... I
think it reveals more about his true views on Europe than he could possibly ever say.
Yeah, I think it's just double standards again, from his government.
It's politics, Salim.
I don't think they are true Europeans at the end of the day. I think the only true Europeans are the Liberal Democrats, and the quicker they come to power, the better.
They'll thank you for that. Thanks, Salim. You're listening to talkSPORT. I'm Mike Allen. My number's 08704 20 20 20. You can email me through the website talksport.net, or you can text me on 81089. Ministers put the 90-day detention plan back on the agenda. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and John Reid are all in favour of trying to raise the 28-day limit, which they believe is insufficient. Could recent events see the 90-day detention issue return? 08704 20 20 20. We're also talking about America's plan and probably Britain's compliance to get involved in our version of building a military theme park. Both America and Britain have a shortfall financially in their military budget, and they need to overcome that. If they build a theme park, which they're actively thinking about doing, at one stroke they'll open a showplace for out-of-date weapons, exciting experiences, inspire patriotism and fund their financial shortfall, and maybe make a bit of cash over the top. Should we open our own military theme park? Should we, in Britain, open our own military theme park? 08704 20 20 20. All sorts of stuff's going on today, and despite some of the suggestions that I've put forward, there'll be issues you would like to talk about. Let's talk to Ray, who's in Manchester. Hello, Ray. Hello, Ray. Hello, Ray in Manchester. Hello, Ray.
Hello.
There you are, then.
I'm sorry, there must have been something wrong with the phone. I'm sorry about that.
That's right.
It's the first time I've spoken to you, Mike, and you've got a very nice manner, may I say, and you can understand why you're in your position in your job.
Well, the only position I'm in at the moment is sitting by the window. There we are. That's the truth. Where are you sitting?
I'm sitting on my couch next to my coffee table.
Do you ever watch The Simpsons?
No, I don't. I'm 51, but I think I should try and remain young at heart. So I think I'll give it a go. I'll have a look at it.
No, I just asked because there was an episode the other day on The Simpsons about the family sofa.
Oh yeah.
And how everyone got misty-eyed when it crashed, and met the end of its days. But by the next day's episode, it was fine. But it just made me smile when you said you were on the sofa.
Yeah, I know it's a cartoon, and it's very popular, isn't it?
Do you know something? They've made so much money for that, Ray, that if the three of the guys got involved, had to bend over and pick it all up at once, they would probably get a hernia.
Oh, yeah. I know about picking heavy weights up. I've worked in warehouses and mills, and so I know all about that. But what I come on tonight to speak to you about, Mike, it's to do with the military in the past, and also the military today. But I'll start in the past. It's about my grandfather. Now, you might not believe this, but my grandfather served 20 years in the British Army from 1898 to 1918. He fought in 3 wars. He was in Egypt, Sudan, South Africa, and France, Turkey, during the Second World War, and Belgium. And every war he fought, he won. Now, in 1926, he was working at some mill in Trafford Park. It was a very big industrial estate, in the biggest in Europe, actually. Now, he got the sack because of the general strike. He was a trade unionist. He was a trade union leader. But then he went to work on the docks at Manchester and Salford. And he died prematurely at the age of 49 in 1933. And,
49?
49, yes, I know. He joined the army when he was 14. He lied about his age, and they were so strict after the First World War, something to do with his pension, I'm not exactly sure, but he was struck off because he'd lied about his age.
You had to be 16 then, didn't you?
Something like that. I'm not an expert on that part of it.
No, it's just that I happened to read a book a while back, and it had some issue of, part of the storyline was this guy who actually signed up when he was 14.
Yeah.
Because it was such a hard living.
Oh, yeah. Well, was it the Foreign Legion?
No, I don't think it was anything that interesting. I think it might have been Essex, actually.
Well, I don't walk around with a chip on my shoulder about this,
no.
Mike. I would never be disloyal to the Queen or country or the people who live in the British Isles, no matter what their point of view, even if it was different from me. But when I do think about it, I do feel a sense of burning injustice. Now, my granddad was one of those who crossed no man's land on Christmas Day 1914 and played football with the German troops.
Really?
It's the truth. He would also in the Battle of the Somme, he saved a man's life called Bill or Bob Brown, I'm not exactly sure, who was also from Salford. My granddad was serving in the Manchester Regiment 2nd Battalion, and he got plenty of medals, but he deserved a VC for that because he ran back when they were retreating to carry Bob Brown or Bill Brown to safety in the teeth of opposite German machine gun fire.
Do you know, I don't wish to spoil the story, but you just triggered the thought in my mind. I've seen plays and films about the First World War, and there's quite a bit that comes up on the History Channel. And do you know, one of the things that interests me, and I don't know if you thought about this, so I don't want to disconcert you by just floating out of anywhere, but when we see pictures and footage, real, genuine combat situation footage, the Germans have these highly efficient machine guns.
Yes.
And you can understand that it might have taken the British a year or two to twig the fact that they needed a machine gun that could beat them.
Yes.
But they didn't seem to produce one. And then along came the Second World War, and the same criteria seemed to exist.
Yes. Well, the Germans had rearmed during the 1930s. May I say, just briefly, I do not hate Germans. I don't hate
No. I'm just amazed that we had one major conflict, the war that was supposed to end all wars, the 1914-18 war, and the Germans were there with their Spandau machine guns, whatever they were called.
Yes.
And again in World War II. Did we learn nothing?
Well, we did in the First World War. I must speak in defence of Field Marshal Douglas Haig and the Chiefs of Staff. You might be surprised, because we lost so many men on the first day of the Battle of the Somme. We nearly lost 20,000. Now, the thing was this then, Mike, we learned from that. I've studied a little bit about military history. The first thing we did, we gave our junior commanders the power to make decisions on the spot. The second thing is, we used our artillery differently, so that we fired in front of our soldiers when they were advancing on the enemy trenches.
Yes. Whose idea was that originally?